Guys, it's been a long time coming, but I'm proud to announce that my hands are finally registered with the International Registry of Lethal Hands. This is the only place where your God-given gifts of danger can get the recognition that they truly deserve. Now you might be thinking, why on earth would anybody need to register their hands as lethal? Let me break it down for you. There are those among us whose hands are so downright dangerous, they need to be documented. Registration is a moral responsibility, and it's a vote for the greater good of humanity. The sole mission of the International Registry for Lethal Hands is to catalog the most formidable hands on the planet. So if you know someone, and you even suspect they possess lethal hands, do not hesitate. Register them immediately. And if you've ever looked at your own hands and thought, damn, these dogs are dangerous, don't settle. Go register. Head over to registeryourhands.com, fill out a simple form, and you're official. Remember, use the promo code Chael to save 20%, or just click on the link below. The only fight I have ever ducked is Chael Sonnen, and we all know why. Did he compliment me? Because I don't think he did. But I don't know where the insult is, and we all know why. What does that mean? What does it mean? He said the only fight I'm not ducking Tom Aspinall, the only fight I've ever ducked is Chael Sonnen on short notice, and we all know why. I know I'm getting put down. What am I getting put down about? What does that mean? I don't know. And I mean, I assumed it was decided, because I'm better than Chael. I assumed, but that's what we're looking for as fighters. We're not looking for somebody to push us. We're not even looking for somebody to beat us, right? I mean, we're looking for somebody that... So if that's not the interpretation, then there is an ever so small chance that he paid me a compliment. Could that be? Now, aside from that, it was an honest answer. And there are times where a fighter will be honest with you. It's rare. It's not their job to be. Their job is to entertain. There's two types of books, right? You got fiction and nonfiction. We're fine with both. Which one's more entertaining? I mean, I'm only sharing with you, but there are times when a fighter will hit you with something really honest, and you have to pull yourself back. I can recall Stipe Miocic versus Daniel Cormier. And this is going to be for champ status. Daniel Cormier is the light heavyweight champion going up to heavyweight, and there was never a maybe. Daniel wasn't enough man. He wasn't enough body to deal with Stipe. And, I mean, they went through the build-up and the Ultimate Fighter and the rescheduling and what's Brock Lesnar going to do, which was far more interesting than what are these two going to do. I mean, it was just one of these things. 205 pounders going up to take on a heavyweight. 2 days before the fight. 1 day before weigh-ins. And Daniel does an open workout. And when it gets done, he grabs the microphone and he says, hey, you all want to make some money? Go bet on me. I'm a 2.5 underdog. Let me tell you something. I have never lost a fight at heavyweight. I have never lost a wrestling match at heavyweight. I've never even lost a round at heavyweight. I remember where I was. I said, oh my goodness. It was never even a thought. It was Stipe. And I wasn't alone. It was a 2.5, and this one was in Vegas, right, where people can actually go in and bet. These aren't just some figurative numbers. These are actual people walking up to the window, and they're coming in on the fireman. And I remember when Daniel said that, and I actually knew about his wrestling career. Daniel had a very, very big match that nobody knows about because that's wrestling. But Daniel went up to heavyweight, and in the finals had Steve Mocco. There was a very big match for a number of reasons. Top guy at this weight class, top guy at this weight, but then they got the Oklahoma State tie-in, and it's just weird, and it's an overly hard match to go out and do for absolutely nothing. I mean, like, there's a lot on this, and I just recall it. I didn't get to see it. But it was 1-0, and I remember that. I remember reading that, going, wow, I wonder what Daniel got that point, and I wonder how Daniel fended him off. And it was just something in my mind that when Daniel said, I've never lost a fight at heavyweight, I've never lost a wrestling match at heavyweight, I've never even lost a round at heavyweight, I realized I was getting confronted with truth. So when Jon Jones brings this up, I have never ducked anyone except Chael Sonnen on short notice, and we all know why. It's very interesting what happens if Jon wins and refuses to fight Tom. What would that look like? Now, I can tell you for sure, before you go down this road of nonsense, Jon is fighting Tom. But Jon is going to have some fun with us that he's not. Here's the problem. It's called marking out for your own gimmick. It is a very real thing that people will go through, not just fighters. Far more prevalent in WWE, in professional wrestlers, far more prevalent. But you will talk to people that run movies with certain famous actors that you like and you respect, and they're rich and famous, their whole life is going well. And when the movie gets over, their personal lives, their wives, those closest to them, hey, you're not that guy. Stop acting like that. Stop talking with that accent. That was make-believe, and they got to reprogram. We are, as human beings, whoever we pretend to be. And some people like to call that the laws of attraction. Every 10 or so years, somebody will repackage it in some marketing format. The last time they did it, it was called The Secret. But there is some major truth to it, right? You're not going to be able to fantasize about a Ferrari and then have one like the book will tell you to get you to pay $9. But there is some truth to it. You'll never have the Ferrari if you don't sit around and fantasize about it, right? It's an interesting thing, and I only bring that to you. I've already watched this happen with Jon. There was, for nothing more than marketing reasons, it was thrown out that both Jon and Stipe would retire after this fight, and Jon grabbed it. I remember the day that Jon grabbed it. I even knew who he got it from and where he heard it to be in his mind to say it in the first place. But after he said it once, he got quite a reaction. So he said it again. And he said it again. But see, Jon's a hard interview to get. You get Jon to say it 3 times, well, you've covered 7 weeks. So now all of a sudden it's something that Jon has said and is starting to believe for the better part of 2 months. And the story that I bring to you is well over a year ago. And there's a part where you got to put cold water in his face. You got to smack. Go, Jon. Hey, you don't mean that. You never meant that. This guy said it. You heard it. You thought, I'll try this for marketing. You went with it, and now it's starting to get printed, right? And it's just like Mark Schultz says. It's okay to read what they say about you, but it's never okay to believe it, right? Whether it's good things, you're king of the world, or you're trash. It's never okay to believe it. And what would happen if Jon refuses to fight Tom? Jon would have the right to change his mind. Would we be in a situation like we had with Khabib? Okay, that has never been seen before. Let me give you an example. Once upon a time, one of the great combat athletes ever, Henry Cejudo, competed with one of the great combat athletes ever, Dominic Cruz. First sporting event of any sport, besides Submission Underground, during COVID, UFC 246. How is that? How is that for a memory? Can you believe that? Henry announces after the fight that he's walking. Dana goes to the press conference that night, says, I don't think he should retire. I think he looks great. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to be back in the office on Tuesday at a matchmaker meeting, and I'm going to make a title fight for that weight class. If he is still here, I will find him an opponent. But if he's not, I will find 2 opponents to fight for a vacated title. That was it. Okay, great. Once upon a time, a guy named Khabib Nurmagomedov. And he has a very good and very interesting fight. He ends up finishing Justin Gaethje. And 29-0, and he just lost his father. Khabib grabbed the mic and he retired. And the UFC said, no way. They didn't accept it. Khabib dropped the belt and said, here's your hat, what's your hurry? He did not have to, at that point, comply with an USADA testing agent. He didn't have to. Just to share with you, like that it's a big, those words have massive meaning. UFC said, no, keep him in the pool, test him anytime you want, and he's the champion of the world. Oh, by the way, they moved him up in the pound for pound. That wasn't the UFC, that was the media. They moved the guy up that had retired, that had taken himself out completely. They moved him up, and a month went by, and another month went by. And there wasn't even 55-pounders calling it out, saying, hey, put me in a title fight. Hey, this thing vacated. Hey, let's get on. Everybody stood back. Oh, Khabib's going to come back. He's going to go to at least 30-0. And the UFC said, hey, we want to meet with him again. It was just a very interesting thing, right? I mean, it was the same sport. Not the same guy, but the same meaning, which was World Championship. One made a comment, boom. If you change your mind within 48 hours, let us know. The other one, it took about 45 days to understand. In fact, if I had to take the over-under on 45 days of Khabib saying I'm done before the UFC accepted that he was done and decided to make it, I would take the over. I think it was more than 45 days. And what would you do if Jon did that? But what would you do? Jon is going to fight again. Not maybe. Jon is going to fight again. The UFC knows that. And what would they do if Jon said, I'm out? I'm vacating. Would they say, okay, fine. We've got Tom. We're going to get on with it. Surreal, Volkov, whatever happens here, we'll get you guys together. We're going to wait till Jon comes back. Is that what you would do? Or would you? No. Forget what he said. He said he was going to retire before we main evented him at Madison Square Garden. Told you he'd show up, and he will show up, and we'll get him again. Just stand tight. Is that what you do? I'm asking, because Michael Bisping's already weighed in on it. Michael Bisping says you got to strip the son of a bitch. Now, in all fairness, you got to strip the son of a bitch. It's the very reason that you would strip somebody. It is the very reason you would strip somebody. We don't generally strip for illness or injury, save one Prohaska. I cannot recall an illness or injury where somebody got stripped. I can't recall it. It's healthy and unwilling. It's the very reason that you strip them. But would they do that with Jon? Or moreover, what if Jon didn't say it? Jon was all willing and said, not Aspinall. Now, he would need a damn good argument to get away with it. I'm just asking you, what would happen if? And I don't hate this concept. I don't hate it, and only for one reason. I do feel you guys have been a little fickle towards Jon. I do. I feel that Jon has come to the public and said, who do I need to beat? Who is it that you believe I can't or I will have the hardest time beating? And you've given him answers and then pulled the rug out. I feel that. I feel it happened with him versus Stipe, which then became Sergey Pavlich and is now on Tom Aspinall, and somewhere in there you could sprinkle Francis Ngannou. I'm just sharing with you, like, if Jon wanted to start messing with the public back, to a degree I would understand it. I don't predict for you this is going to happen. But I do think that it's good to have a plan and be prepared in case it does happen. And so I'm asking you, all wise ones, what would you do?